real issue that's going on in her mind, she cannot battle with it at the moment because she doesn't have the power to battle with it.
But doesn't she love like her parents more than she loves the voice?
She knows that mum and dad are hurting, she knows that you're hurting, but she can't help it because it's the anorexic voice in her head and it's the illness that is determining the way she is at the moment.
I just want to keep the friend that I've had for so long. You don't have to worry about things, you don't have to worry about getting on with life because it just kind of takes care of those worries for you.
The feeling of anorexia being a comfort is not uncommon, according to Professor Brian Lask.
If you lose a certain amount of weight, you start losing your neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitter levels in your brain go down. And one of the most important neurotransmitters, they're all important, but one of them relates to anxiety. Now, if you lose that neurotransmitter, you get less anxious. So the anxiety levels go down. And that's one of the reasons that people with anorexia nervosa don't want to start eating again, because they equate being of a low weight with being less anxious.
But do you think that that friend also has its bad sides?
Because it just physically doesn't make you feel brilliant. Sometimes by how it makes you feel when you look in the mirror, you think, why is something that you would think of a friend make you feel so bad when you look at yourself?
So in a way, this friend can also be an enemy, well, your worst enemy, really.
Yeah.
Something I'll take away is that I've got to split the two. What's Naomi and what's anorexia? And I think at the moment, before this workshop, they were both together. And I'm going to really try to know that underneath all this there is Naomi underneath, and that, you know, one day we'll get her back. Because I think that's just what we want. We just want our daughter back. With a hug. I love you.
In the short time I spent with Naomi, I could tell what a wonderful young person she is, and what's frustrating is to see how much the anorexia is taking over. What I don't understand is that, like Naomi, I had a really lovely childhood. What went wrong?
It often starts when you're just entering adolescence and all those horrendous things about who am I, what am I going to do with my life, what happens with my sexuality, and you think, no, actually, being a little girl running around the garden with a nice family is far easier than facing all of that, so I'll go back to that. And of course the starvation produces the hormonal changes that get you back into that situation, and the more you avoid adolescence, the more rewarding that is, because you don't have to face the anxiety.
This theory makes a lot of sense to me. When I got to secondary school, the confusion and embarrassment of teenage life hit me. Fickle friendships and rejection by boys. Suddenly life didn't seem as easy as before. Through this film I see I'm not the only one who felt that way.
It's always been quite a big worry to me, what other people think of my appearance, and when I was about 11 or 12 I just remember looking at myself and thinking I was like the most ugly person in the world, and there must be something wrong with me.
She has in the past expressed regrets of the passing of that happy little girl that she used to be, and then suddenly, having reached puberty, she'd realised what was going on in the world outside, and she herself was beginning to feel sometimes quite sad or even low and depressed.
Becca is working incredibly hard to beat anorexia and stop it holding her back.
I know kind of what I want to do with my life, and being ill with an eating disorder isn't part of that. I think there's a part of me that just wants to stay in a safe little girl world where I'm looked after and I don't have to face hard things, but yeah, I'm excited about it too. I don't think I can really grow up properly without getting better.
Growing up is scary and unpredictable. It wasn't until I recovered from anorexia that I realised the best bits in life are uncontrollable. After my last visit to Katie, she and her mum had a good heart-to-heart.
I didn't realise how much my mum and sister actually worried about me. I spoke to my friends about it and they was like, oh, you need to start putting a bit of weight on and Yeah, you look good, but you know, you sometimes get to the point where you look unhealthy because you're too skinny or too thin.
That made you think that maybe you should start eating a bit more?
I think I need to try and eat a little bit more, but instead of dieting, doing exercise, like, because I'm starting to go to the gym and stuff. I'm going to get help from friends and my mum on building myself up.
As a reward for Katie's efforts to eat sensibly, her mum's allowed her to join an agency to fulfil a long-held desire to be a model.
I've wanted to be one since I was younger, so it kind of adds to the excitement, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Smile. Flaunt it.
Yeah, you got it. That's it. That's better. That's more like it.
Do you think that sends a mixed message?
I will stop her modelling if she goes too silly with her weight. She's got to get a decent balance of exercise and eating, and I think all children of her age should take a good look at themselves and love their bodies for what they are.
I hope that a frank discussion with her mum and a confidence boost is all Katie needs to snap her out of developing a more serious eating disorder. It makes me wonder if you can nip it in the bud before it's too late.
Do you think that you can just nip something like this in the bud?
I mean, it's difficult. Who knows? Because how many families does the parents step in and say, "Oi, stop messing about with your food, get it down"? And you know that might happen lots of times.
Yeah.
You don't know, but one's gut feeling is if parents had more respect for their children's health and less respect for their intellect, because it's funny how parents will say, well, she's such a bright girl. Yes, but that doesn't mean she won't starve herself to death.
To understand is that why didn't you know, my family, why didn't you stop me doing that? Why didn't you stop me?
You know, you were a really amazing anorexic in that actually, you know, you appeared to be eating but didn't eat. But it is completely bizarre that we didn't notice, really. But that's because I think you being thin is considered to be attractive. So you went through this phase because you'd actually been a little bit chubby. And then when you started exercising, I thought, well, isn't that lovely? I've never been able to exercise, you know, and you came in where you cut this regime out of the paper and you said, oh, look at this, I'm going to do this. Well, how are we to know that when you were going to do that, you were going to do it for hours on end and nobody would be able to stop you? The teachers were phoning up and saying, stop her swimming. I kind of thought, if you can't stop her swimming and you're at the swimming bath and I'm not even in school, how can I stop her swimming? I mean, you've no idea how determined you were.
But I was looking at my diary and you can see that like, I went into hospital here on the 17th of November and then like the week before, no breakfast, no lunch, no tea, no breakfast, no lunch, netball, half a pasta and ratatouille, no breakfast, no lunch, step aerobics with Vicky. I mean, how did you let me go to step aerobics? Why?
I certainly had this thing that somehow if you kept going with your life, then it would all work out. I mean, denial, probably. Just before you went into hospital, which was kind of the end of November, wasn't it? You all went to Roundhay Park, and you gave all your friends a lift. But they all sat in the car, and they were all talking about dieting and food. And I remember thinking, you know what the problem is with Emily, why don't you shut up? And I just couldn't bear it. But, you know, they were all chatting away about food and what they, you know, and weight and things. Although they were anorexic. So, you know, there is such a fine line. I don't really understand it.
What I want to know is how inevitable it all was. How come it was me that developed anorexia and not my friends?
If it was as simple as society putting pressure on young women to be thin, then 90% of the female population would have anorexia.
Professor Brian Lask has been researching anorexia for over 20 years with the aim of developing more effective treatment.
Only about a third of people with anorexia make a very full and sustained recovery, and about a third have persisting problems, and about a third actually remain very ill.
I've come to try out some of the tests used in his latest research.
Tell me what you see there.
I see a girl.
Most people can see both a young girl and an old woman in this picture. For a long time, I can only see the young girl.
You found it harder than most people do, but that doesn't surprise me at all, because again, it's, given your story. What it showed was that you do indeed have some difficulty in switching between two images, and that's the sort of thing that we find in people with anorexia nervosa.
Along with brain scanning, these tests have shown that most anorexics have the same miswiring of the brain in 3 areas, affecting their body image, their ability to see the bigger picture, and crucially, their ability to be flexible in their thinking.
People with anorexia nervosa get very stuck in one way of thinking or in one subject and can't switch that off. So if, for example, they have the intrusive thought, I am fat, I'm ugly, I am disgusting, they can't switch it off. It torments them, it persists.
This new research suggests that the miswiring of the brain predisposes certain people to anorexia. So while my friends were exposed to the same pressures of dieting as me, I was more at risk of developing the illness.
And I just fell back down again.
Overcoming anorexia is the biggest achievement in my life. Now when I have a bad thought about my body, I can let it go. I hope that in time and with the right help, Naomi will be able to find the same freedom.
Yeah, I think it's little steps that are important, because
Yeah.
the big steps, it's just too much.
And I think what I'd written in one of my emails as well is that it's not just like a sudden one day I'll see you later to
I liked it when you wrote that.
Yeah.
You have to be really, really brave to
say that you want to get over it. Whereas like I haven't really said that. I've just kind of like just want something better, but not really wanting to get rid of it yet, because there's part of me that's still there.
Last time we were talking, like you were saying that it was that you were seeing her more as a friend. Do you think that's changed at all, or?
Yeah, I'm starting to like slowly change that as well, seeing it a bit differently. But kind of like Naomi wants to do all these things. Naomi wants to go camping and horse riding, and it's the anorexia that's stopping me from doing that. And kind of like, it doesn't really care that I'm missing out on this stuff.
Realising that anorexia is holding you back is a big step towards recovery.
Is that me?
Yeah.
What am I wearing?
It looks like you've got an all-in-one suit on and
I've got wellies.
I hope that Naomi grows to look back on anorexia as I do, as a big part of my childhood, which made me the adult I am, but never to be repeated, which is why I've never gone on a diet again. I wouldn't take the risk.